what I initially thought was a joke is real. There is a sequel to the 2015 It Follows coming out called They Follow. Folks, It Follows has gone woke. There's a non-binary monster.
I was actually the first thing I was gonna say was, shouldn't it be called They/Them Follow?
Yeah. It's a crossover with that Ethan Hawke movie, They/Them. Kevin Bacon. Well, cardinal sin. That should be in maybe Halloween Dud Cup next year. I don't know if it's funny enough to put in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see it, but it could be.
Yeah.
That's a
but anyway, yeah, I think we both pretty much really like It Follows from 2015.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I definitely like it. There's always something like lacking about it, but I do really love the soundtrack or the score.
Yeah, Disaster Piece is great.
There's some scenes that like really stick with me, and the overall kind of aesthetic of it I really dig.
Yeah, the sort of timelessness where you can't really pinpoint like what period of time it takes place in. Like she's got the hamburger phone type thing, but she's got like a weird like nook, but it's not a nook. You don't know what it is. It feels vaguely 80s, but then you're like, is that because of the soundtrack? Because the Disaster Piece soundtrack sounds like it's from the 80s. But yeah, I'm really curious. I mean, presumably, They Follow is going to just be like, there's more of them. The sort of,
I guess maybe,
It Follows
I don't know.
monster. But because the premise of the first one is that like it's passed through sex, so is this like, it's like there's like a group sex scene and the monster's just like,
ooh,
you I don't know which. Okay, we're all just
who came first.
The first one was an allegory for like passing on like a sexually transmitted disease. This one is punishing premature ejaculators.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's not really a ton of information about it. It's just there's an image posted on Neon, which has a yellow verification badge on Twitter, which I guess,
what does that mean?
It's there to differentiate between the blue verification badge, which any shithead can buy.
Oh my god, for real?
That's what. Yeah, there's different colors. Because Elon Musk is a brain genius. There are different colored verification badges. Because,
holy shit.
Dude, Twitter is so shitty. Like, anytime there's a big tweet, like it used to be that, you see verified reply or verified account. You're like, oh yeah, that's like a notable person, celebrity, news anchor. Like, it was kind of a low bar sometimes. Like, if you could be someone who wrote an article like 10 years ago and you have 5,000 followers, sure, get a verification, whatever. But now, any dumb piece of shit can get, like, for $12 a month, can get a verification badge. And then, if you're just like a normal person on Twitter, if you have like bought verification, your replies show up first before everyone else's. And the type of people,
right? I think I did know that. Yeah.
The type of people that pay for Twitter. The Venn diagram of the type of people who pay for Twitter and the people who have good opinions. Wait, which one would it be? Would it be like that or would it be separate? Separate?
It'd be separate.
I lost track of my own analogy. They're so dumb. And like that's the first shit you see. But yeah, so I at first I thought it was a joke. Like They Follow. I was like, "Oh, I get it. Haha. What a silly like thing." But then I saw it's like from Neon, like that's a verified studio. But it just says, it's everywhere. They Follow. A film by David Robert Mitchell. So he's doing it too. So it's the main guy.
Yeah, that's good. It's him. That's his like brainchild or whatever. I hope my worry when hearing about that is that like I wonder if that's because of the for lack of a better word, like underwhelming performance of Under the Silver Lake, the movie he did after It Follows.
I did see people talking about that. Was that movie bad?
No, that movie is great.
But it just didn't perform well.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. No, that movie's a ton of fun. But nobody fucking saw it. So I wonder if he's like, okay, I'll do that one again.
Yeah. Maybe this is just in my head because I just watched your Texas Chainsaw video. But what if he does like a Tobe Hooper Texas Chainsaw 2, where like 10 years later he makes the extremely dumb, silly version that's a lot of fun, but it's very alienating.
Yeah.
Because I mean, so I guess there are some images from the movie that have been released, and one of them, it's like, it's got the main girl, Maika Monroe. Sounds like a porn star name. But there's like a picture of her in what looks like kind of a strip club, and she's wearing like she's got the shirt on, with the name badge. She's holding a gun. It's got like glittery stuff. But and then there's one where I think it's still her, but it's.
Are these on the neon page? Is this on the neon page?
This is on collider.com. I think I just typed in "they follow" and it was like the first thing I clicked on. But yeah, there's a girl with like a face tattoo and then like a neck tattoo. I don't think it's the same girl. Mm-hmm. It's not. It's definitely not. Or unless she's like in disguise from the monster trying to hide.
Okay, yeah. When you were describing that picture of her holding the gun, that's from The Guest. That's from a different movie. They probably don't have stills for this one yet, and
they're okay. Well, yeah, I haven't seen The Guest, so I was just like, oh, I guess they might have some production images. No, I guess not. That's funny.
No.
Okay, we'll never disregard that. But anyway, I don't know. I'm pretty cautiously optimistic. Should be fun when it comes out. I like the first one pretty decent amount. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate that the guy who plays the tall guy died.
Oh, really?
That is one of the most unsettling scenes from that movie, where the girl's standing in the hallway and the dude like lurches in behind her. Ooh, so affecting.
Yeah, that's one of those scenes that I was like thinking of when I was saying that there were certain bits that like stick with me or whatever. That was a really good scene.
The naked dude on the roof.
Yeah.
Who I think is supposed to be your dad.
Oh, is it? I don't know.
Because I think the manifestation that comes to the pool at the end of that movie is like also her dad.
Oh, okay.
And it might be the same guy. I don't remember. I showed it to Chloe like I think about a year ago, and she really liked it too. But sometimes it's kind of a chore getting her to watch horror movies, especially ones that are like things following you. Yeah, not a fan of that. But
that's kind of what
that's the whole premise. Quinn has expressed the idea of flipping the concept of the first film around, with Jay or another protagonist going down the chain to find the origin of it. So that could be like maybe they find like a patient zero.
Okay. That could be interesting, I suppose. Or it could, be a case of explaining the mystery or the monster,
expanding the lore, and then it's like, oh, actually this falls apart and is dumb.
Yeah, right. So could go either way, I guess.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Welcome back to another episode of ThereWillBeDuds. This is episode 124, and I am your co-host TJ, and with me as always,
I am Nick, and 124, we're like halfway to like our next like milestone. well, yeah. But like, we did the Pirates trilogy, then we did the Ed Wood trilogy. We're halfway to our next milestone. It's crazy.
I know.
It's weird.
I know. It's stupid. It's crazy.
Just keep trucking along.
Yeah. And as always, we watched a movie this week. That movie being...
You gotta give it enough space. Every time I told Chloe what I was watching, I gave it enough space so I didn't sound offensive or stupid.
Yeah,
there you
go. Directed by Edward Yang. It's from the year 2000. It follows the Jian family. Might not be pronouncing that 100% correctly. in living in Taiwan after the grandmother, we'll just say, of the family has a stroke and is in like a coma. But that's just kind of a backdrop connecting sort of the central characters. It follows the father, NJ, and then the two children, Ting Ting and Yang Yang, as well as other members of the family, but primarily those three, as they kind of just deal with their own things, relationships and stuff. It's a very kind of quiet,
Yes.
that quiet East Asian drama style, and it's the final film by Edward Yang, and it's like this, and he has another one called A Brighter Summer Day are like the two of his that I always hear about.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I wanted to check them out, so it's got in the cup, and then we pulled it and we watched it. What'd you think?
I might be too stupid for this movie. I always feel silly when I don't necessarily vibe with something that I think is supposed to be an overwhelming classic that everyone loves. And I don't know. I'm kind of trying to read your body language and see if you maybe felt the same way that I did a little bit with this movie.
Have your own opinion. It's fine.
Maybe because
shake the norms of who gives a shit what other people say.
Well, I'm just, I've watched two other Wong Kar-wai movies.
That's a different guy.
I know. Let me finish. Yeah, but like Chloe was cooking dinner, and I came out and I was like, what is it with the Chinese and their movies about yearning? Because we
That's a good
watched,
way to put it, yeah.
We watched Chungking Express for the show, and then we watched In the Mood for Love, which I was ready to be completely destroyed by, and it left me a little cold. And this movie, for all intents and purposes, was supposed to be another one of those, like, just like very emotionally, like, just you just, it's like a release when you get done watching it. And I can definitely see in a few scenes that are like really good. There's a few scenes in this that I think are great. And I think it wasn't for me, but I also like understand why it's considered great, and I respect that, but it just didn't do a whole lot for me. So that's kind of where I'm sitting.
Okay. Yeah, I like somewhat I'm with you, but I think I enjoyed it a little more, but I definitely also have that kind of missed thing. I definitely like yeah, I liked comparing it to, because of course I was thinking of Chungking Express. They are very kind of similar moods at the very least, and I definitely vibed with that one more than this. Maybe that was because it was an hour shorter too, that I think that's another thing now, is just like,
I'm all for 3-hour long movies. I'm all for movies that are that length that justify it a little bit, or I guess it kind of keeps my attention, or kind of keeps it. And this is like very slow and meditative. And maybe I just need to be strapped into a theater where I can't look at my phone, or just like look away when it's just like, oh, someone is sitting in a room contemplating things, and it's just gonna hold on them for a while. It's like, all right, another one of those. Anyway.
Yes. I feel like I'm cool with long movies too. Again, a chunk of my favorite movies ever are very long movies, 3 hours or more. But yeah, with kind of the growing overabundance of longer movies, like more recent longer movies, I feel like they need to prove it more. And again, like I do see a lot of like great filmmaking in this movie. There are some really good affecting scenes. I feel like maybe we're probably thinking of the same ones. I don't know. Maybe there's different ones that hit us each differently. But yeah, I wouldn't say, like you were saying, or at least you were comparing to like In the Mood for Love, being expecting to be like emotionally devastated, and I wouldn't say that by any means, but I would say that there are definitely some like emotionally resonant movies scenes, not movies, emotionally resonant scenes in this movie, where I was like, oh yeah, I feel that. But
anything
that
with
was
NJ.
it.
NJ was like by and far to me like the most interesting character, and like the character that was like the center of that. Like he was, I think in one of my notes I said he's the most down bad guy of all time. Because like, man, he is going through it.
Yeah.
NJ and his son, the little boy, I thought the little boy was really cute. I thought a lot of his stuff was really fun and really funny and very like, jumping to the end, his like poem to his grandma, like,
Yeah.
I couldn't talk to you while you were in the coma because I didn't know what to say, but now I know what to say. That, like, that's like, whew, okay, all right, I feel that.
Yeah. Doing something. Yeah. Yeah. NJ is probably the most interesting, I would agree, but I think I was the most invested when it was Yang Yang. He was my favorite character to watch.
Yeah.
I like, I don't know, I love the opening scene, like the whole wedding thing was really good. I was really into that. And then like how those girls are like picking on him, and then he like runs over with the balloon and
Pops it?
That was awesome.
I think his character is like a very good depiction of just like that little kid logic. Like it feels very natural of just like, yeah, what does like an 8-year-old little boy think of, and like how does he interact with the world? And I think his portrayal is like very accurate.
Yeah. And I love how like independent he is, and maybe that's how it is over there, where there's not as much like adult supervision or whatever, but he just goes off and like does his own shit. He goes to the pool by himself and almost drowns.
I was like, because I knew this movie was bookended by a wedding and a funeral, and like the way that was shot and the way that held, I was like, is that the funeral? Is that how this character goes? Because it holds. He jumps in, you hear him like struggle, and then you don't hear anything anymore, and it holds on that shot, and I'm like, did this kid die? Is he dead? Is that what I'm? And then he comes running through the house soaking wet. But then I was like, is this one of those wet ghost movies?
Oh,
it was not.
Funny. Yeah, and he just like, he just like does his own thing, and he'll just be like walking by. He'll like walk by, and they'll be like, oh hey, okay, and then he's just going off to.
He gets film developed.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he was on that one show that I think Travis brought up where like they have to send children on tasks.
Yeah, Old Enough. I did watch some of that. It's pretty fun. I will say too, to the movie's credit, to the filmmaking credit at least, despite how I may not have been totally into, the emotions of the movie or whatever, like I wasn't, feeling that roller coaster of emotions I was expecting it to give me, and also despite how slow it is, despite how long some of these shots are of people just sitting there, like you were saying, he's sitting in a room thinking, what they do a lot. I was never bored with this movie, which is kind of weird, but I very early on, it struck me with just some random shots of like, I don't know, some dudes loading some packs into a truck, and then like some city like shots of like the street downtown or whatever. And it's like it was a really cozy movie for me. Like very nice. I loved like the look of this movie, the overall aesthetic. This like early 2000s,
Yeah.
East Asian like city vibe. It's very like warm colors.
Yeah.
There's just a certain look that I really think is very pleasing to look at. And
Yeah, there's like
maybe
a
that was
few-
enough to keep me
Yeah.
interested without being invested, I guess.
Yeah, there were a few like shots of, I think, their apartment where like you look out the window and it's like it's like that kind of dusk, almost like full nighttime. And it's like you see all the skyscrapers and you see like this kind of soft lighting, and it's kind of cloudy and overcast. Some of it has almost one of those like familiar, like liminal kind of
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
vibes to it, which I don't know, you could make like a YouTube video, like take a screenshot from that movie and like make one of those like lo-fi YouTube videos. It's like,
Oh, for sure,
early
yeah.
2000s liminal East Asian city skyscrapers to relax and study to.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was like a nostalgia for a place that I've never been kind of
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. Yeah.
Every time I watch foreign movies like this and then see all the it's weird being reminded of like American influence on other cultures, and just I always think of how different it must be, like how almost unique we have as Americans to be so insular as we are, because like sure we are influenced by other countries to a degree, like hey, we just watched a movie from Taiwan, how cultured are we? But like, this kid has the big Batman poster in his room, or when
Like the Pikachu messenger bag.
yeah, well, that's Japanese, but yeah, I mean, it's
Well,
still
yeah.
an outside culture, I guess. But
Yeah.
and then when Ting Ting goes on her date with Fatty at the movies, every poster there's fucking, what's the first one is Tarzan, and then Phantom Menace, Wild Wild West, and then Analyze This. Like, what a fucking lineup of movies,
Yeah.
too. And
Yeah.
then she's talking about, I mean, of course there's other movies at the theater, but like after they go to the movie, she's talking to him and she's like, that movie was so sad. And all I could think of is like those movies that I saw the posters for, and I was like,
You're like,
which one is she talking about?
I know. I was really hoping that one of them would say the name of it, and they didn't.
Yeah. But that, like, every movie that was in the shot, at least every movie poster, American movie.
Yeah.
When here maybe like the one big theater with the most screens, everyone they'll get the one, probably RRR last year was in theaters or something, because that was like
Yeah.
a huge thing. But like that's it. Unless you're in like the major cities, you're not really gonna see.
And it'll be like one screen and maybe two showings, and it's gone in a week.
Yeah. Or if it's
Meanwhile,
like an event screening, like bringing back Old Boy or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, like, yeah, I mean, and then you could probably still see Barbie and Oppenheimer in theaters like today.
Yeah. Right.
Whereas those movies will get like a week or two, maybe, so the nerds can go see them, and then they'll quietly disappear. Yeah, I mean, up until like Parasite, I feel like Parasite is like one of the first movies to kind of break through and like kind of cross that barrier. There's probably more before it, but like, it's a Best Picture winner from South Korea in America is like pretty unprecedented. Yeah, you kind of get hit with that immediately too, like in the scene with at the wedding reception, which I think has like the most comedy of the entire movie. I think right off the bat. The character of Adi is like, he's such a blowhard dickhead.
Yeah.
And I was laughing because they were talking about how his bride was pregnant before the actual wedding, and one of the ladies says something like, oh yeah, bus rides without tickets are more common these days, which like referring to premarital sex as a bus ride without a ticket. I was like, oh, okay, that's a new one. I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah.
But, you know, the Yang Yang, that's the kid, the son.
Yep.
Ying Ying. Oh, God.
Yang Yang.
Yang Yang. Okay.
Yeah.
You got Yi Yi, you got Ting Ting, and you got Yang Yang. So I was like,
they had to have done that on purpose. The
like,
mom's name is Min Min too.
And then the dad's name is NJ.
Yeah,
all
whatever
right,
that.
sure.
Yeah.
Thank God, like I can remember that one really well.
Yeah.
But the Yang Yang like doesn't want any of the wedding food, so his dad takes him to a McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
And
like
because I've definitely had that experience.
Oh,
before.
you're saying the American influence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
also,
did like that scene though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like his interaction with his son, I love it because they both seem very like reserved and quiet around each other. They both kind of feed off each other. And I hate that I saw that old school like early 2000s McDonald's and I was like nostalgic for it. I kind of remember when the McDonald's used to look like that before all of like the fast food chains are just that corporate gray like Helvetica font. It's just like just homogenized shitty marketing. But that the McDonald's
I had the
was,
same fucking thought.
It was
like
like
same
colorful
exact
and
thought.
vibrant in there.
Yeah.
Like even like the packaging, because there's a lot of nostalgia for like packaging like that. Like I think of like that the cups. It's like that green and purple kind of like spray. Like you see that shit everywhere. Like that's like vaporwave now. Everyone's got Adidas shoes and like
you can get like a
Supreme hats
sweater
that have
with that.
Yeah,
on it
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you kind of get hit with that American culture like right off the bat.
He's also it's not American, but he's listening to the Beatles too on his headphones.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's listening to "Baby It's You." You can hear it quietly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Not a lot of music in this one.
No, it starts with like the you know, it's almost like a montage of shots and there's like a lot of music. Like or it's like loud, it's very prominent. And I liked it. It was like not the kind of music I was expecting. It was like it reminded me of Paris, Texas, that kind of twangy.
Yeah, there's like a little bit of like
country,
dobro or like steel guitar in there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I liked it. I really liked that music at the start. And then it like I said, there wasn't a lot after that point. Here and there, but not a ton.
There was one point where the Lily, the girl that plays the
friend who's also going out with Fatty. Yeah.
Yes. I think it was her. One of them was like singing something. And at first I thought it was the music from Old Boy.
Oh.
It was like a classical piece of music. And then I looked up the Old Boy theme and I was like, that's not it. And then I realized it's not written for this movie specifically, but it was heavily prominent. It was that main orchestral piece at the beginning of Eyes Wide Shut.
I'll have to listen to it.
It's like da na 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 da 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 da.
Yeah, that piece. Yeah.
And I was like, why do I know that? And at first I thought it was like, is that the theme from Old Boy? And it's not. But I had to look it up, and I was like, oh shit, it's Eyes Wide Shut, which I was like, Phantom Menace, Tarzan, 1999, 2000, Eyes Wide Shut, maybe it was an influence, but I don't know. That's reaching.
Yeah. The guy Ota, who I also liked, like all the scenes with NJ and Ota were good.
Yes.
I really liked. I don't know, just they had good chemistry together, and they were just fun to watch. He plays Sukiyaki by Kyu Sakamoto in the bar, like on the piano, and I pinged that in my weeaboo brain.
Is that a notable song from something?
Not really. It's from like the 60s. But
okay.
I think it like had some traction over here back then too. Like you
okay.
might recognize it if you heard it.
Yeah.
But it's a good song. I really liked it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Every scene with him was so sad because it was immediately undercut by his coworkers that are just like, yeah, we're going with like the shittier, cheaper option.
Otto.
You don't need to be there.
Yeah.
It's like this. NJ is like he's searching for like a human connection like the entire movie, and every time he comes close to it, like the rug gets pulled out from under him. But sometimes he's the one pulling the rug out from himself.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything with Sherry or whatever.
Sherry, yeah. Yeah, because there's like that scene where he's talking to her, and he's like, even if we had the chance to like do it again, like we'd make the same decisions, or at least he's like, I would probably just do the same thing again, like even if I had a chance to go back. So he's kind of like self-imposed in this prison that he's kind of made for himself.
And also speaking of that whole like deal with them, I was kind of stuck on near the beginning when they kind of first brought it up, but like the dad and the dad character NJ, and then I guess it's his brother-in-law, but like Adi, and them like trying to sell like or like make a connection. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but like the video game company, it brought to mind Quigley. So then I said that's the American remake Quigley. So I was pretty proud of that.
My beautiful video game software. Yeah. Imagining the games looking as shitty as they do in Quigley, and they're like, this is cutting edge, state of the art shit.
Yeah.
We do get a very jarring but somewhat humorous video game cut in to represent Fatty killing that teacher.
Yeah.
Which was like pretty brutal and strange. It's just like, but it was like a news broadcast. Like this, like the news. I was like, the news is wild. Like I feel like in America, like they'll talk about a case, but they won't show like pools of blood on the sidewalk, or, like, the bloody handprint. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like we've created a recreation of the incident. It's like, then he falls on the ground and he's still just punching him.
Yeah, it made me think of that show Jury Duty, where they're like, there's this part where the defense attorney like puts together he's like, oh, here's a video of here's a digital recreation of the attempted like robbery or whatever the crime was, and like the whole time it's like glitching out, and there's like the like tracking like lines, like the
scam lines or something.
Yeah, like or whatever. But that's what I had in my mind when they were showing that.
That teacher had a pretty good laugh out of me when she catches the teacher who she's also having an affair with her mom. Yeah. And the teacher's just like, teachers are human too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. But also in the context of what you're doing, I don't know about that. But he's still just like bowing like, oh, excuse me, sorry. Shuts the door. Like that formality is like still there despite doing something super weird.
Yeah, to say the least. Alright. So what I guess what were the scenes that you would say were like heavier for you or whatever, or however you want to put it?
I guess a lot of the stuff with NJ, I think there's probably a pretty famous shot in this movie, but it's him sitting on the pier with like the waves coming crashing in.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
just I think that's like either the evening or the morning after he kind of like talks with Sherry. And I think that might be after he tells her, he's like, I never stopped loving you, and then like she shuts the door.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, there's like that shot of him just sitting on the pier, and it kind of holds on him as the waves are crashing. The Yang like talking to the grandma at the end. was pretty good. Oh, I watched this like a few hours ago, and yet I'm still trying to like piece it all together.
Remember bits. There was a lot of like cool cinematography besides just me liking the look. There was a lot of really cool shots, and like, you know, I'm sure there was a lot of thought put into them because of how many of them just are static shots that go on for like a minute or so or whatever.
Yeah.
But they mostly work. There are a lot of really cool shots, really well like like blocked and framed shots in this.
Mm-hmm.
I like the scene. I think that, and maybe it was just because it was like a surprise, like I wasn't expecting it as early, or just how it came about. But I think the scene that kind of got me the most was actually Min Min. Early on when she NJ comes home, and she just like breaks down, and when she's talking about how like we're supposed to like talk to her to like keep, you know, we're supposed to talk. She's like, I tell her about my day and I say the same thing, and she's like, I don't have anything going on in my life, like my life is a blank or something.
My life is a blank.
Yeah. Is that it? Okay.
Yeah, I watched this for free on YouTube. There's like someone put it on YouTube.
Oh, really? Oh, dang.
Yeah, and I think they uploaded a translate. Like I think they uploaded like the captions track, but I had to like turn on YouTube's caption, so I wasn't sure if it was like a mistranslation. But she's like, "My life is a blank." I was like, I think that's probably right. But yeah. And that's really well acted too. Like that felt.
It is.
Like her performance is like. Very genuine, very like rendering.
Yeah, because there's like spaces between her lines where she's just kind of like she kind of like does that sometimes or whatever. I thought the acting there was really really good too. But like I've even had that same kind of thought when because I do those I brought it when we went to Chicago. I keep like little journals for when I go on trips. Just write about each day or whatever, like people do with like diaries or journals. But I don't do one day to day because I've tried and there's nothing to write about. Yeah. But the difference is that I had that realization and I was just like, yeah, I didn't cry about it like Min Min, you know. But I think about it. So
my life is a blank.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I didn't so she just left to go on like a Buddhist retreat.
Yeah.
After that.
Yeah.
And she's just kind of gone for the rest of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me think of King of the Hill with Dale Gribble's wife having to go and like she's like, oh yeah, I gotta go on a retreat with John Redcorn. Like the way that the Buddhist monk came over and was like, yeah, you want to write me a check?
Yeah.
She's
right.
Like, yeah, I'll take care of your wife. I was like, yeah, you guys are gonna go out in the mountains. He's gonna take care of your wife, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But then again, NJ is also like kind of. There's a lot of sort of infidelity going on in this movie.
Yeah, there really is. Yeah,
I think that's like the whole yearning thing. It's like what could have been, and everyone is sort of feeling that. Like Adi, who is I think for the most part, he's kind of a one-dimensional character. Like I think you get a little bit out of him when like he sees his child for the first time, or like that scene when he's like breaking down and then he's like watching porn with
yeah.
Was that you was that her name
or whatever? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So that was not his wife.
No.
Okay.
No, that was the one who like
she
showed
like
up
comes to the party.
Yeah.
And like everyone's fighting about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that like, one dude's like he's like the one dude gets like so pissed at him afterwards. He's like I'll rip off your dick and feed it to my dogs or something. Yeah, that's
like
what
he said. Yeah. I was like, whoa, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like he was kind of a one-dimensional character aside from those few scenes.
little,
but
sure.
he was the comic relief. I would say he was pretty. He had a few really good lines. Drinking a depth charge sounded disgusting.
I know.
It's like, oh.
I meant to look that up. I want to see if it's like an actual.
Because when I first started working at a brewery, they had a slop bucket. So it was like basically it was like a big plastic bucket with like a mesh cup on top of it to like prevent solids from going in. But like, you know, if someone just set their drink at the bar or they didn't finish their beer, they would just kind of pour all of their shit into this slop bucket. And then when I got hired on, they're like, "Oh yeah, you're the new guy. You got to take a shot from the slop bucket." And obviously it was a joke, but when they were describing the depth charge, I was like, that's what it sounded like to me. Just like an amalgamation of all the different drinks that were served all night, like kind of in one cup. And he's just standing on the table chugging it while all the people are like breaking down the wedding set.
Okay, it's similar to like a Jaeger bomb, but it's you fill a whole ass glass. Like he had a pitcher of beer, and then you drop a shot of whiskey in it.
Oh,
so
that doesn't sound awful.
It doesn't sound awful. It sounds like a lot.
In this movie, it sounded like they said like 3 or 4 ingredients, which I was like, that just sounds like they're just taking shit from the end of the day and pouring it in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it did look like he had like a pitcher, and then instead of a shot, they dropped like a whole fucking cup in there, basically.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought he was pretty funny early on. Like when they get to the hospital, when they find out that the grandma had a stroke, like he shows up and NJ is like, "You drove here drunk?" And then he immediately fires back, "The cops drink too." And then the other scene that was kind of funny at the wedding, like I think it was when NJ is coming back from McDonald's with his son, and all he wants to do is go in this elevator. And every time he does, it opens, someone comes out and talks to him. And then elevator shuts, elevator opens again, Sherry comes out, and it starts like pretty pleasant, and then she just starts yelling at him like, "You left me! Where? I didn't think you were gonna. Where were you going? You left me!" And he's just like, "Come on, man! I just want to go up the elevator."
Yeah,
it was kind of darkly funny.
Yeah, I appreciated whether that was the actor actually being bored or if that was the director telling him to, but Yang during that is just like he like gets distracted and he's like playing with something in his hands just like off to the side. I'm like, yeah, that feels like realistic. Like, you know, the kid doesn't give a shit about what's going on here.
Yeah.
Because I think that was like, if it was like I think that was a long take. I think like the whole thing, like it follows them walking up to the elevator, and then I think it's there like the whole time.
Yeah.
And like the timing of that is pretty good because she's like starts laying into him, and then I think it's Adi comes out of the elevator, and he's like, "Oh, hey, how's it going? Oh,
yeah." They exchange business cards.
Yeah, and then she walks off.
And NJ's like, I don't have any business cards to give you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then she walks off. NJ and Yang go on the elevator, and Adi like follows them because he's talking to him. And then like as it's closing, he's like, "Why did I come down here again?"
Yeah, yeah.
That was another. Yeah, that was a good bit, good moment.
I thought the subplot with Yang and his teacher was fun. That teacher was such a raging dickhead.
Yeah, he was.
Like just like. Yeah. Like, the kid doesn't even know what a condom is. Like, come on.
I know, yeah. And then I think the idea, like, they were trying to drop, like, the water balloon on the girl that he's, like, going after or whatever. And it lands on him, and he's instantly like, "You fuckers."
He's like, "Don't run, I'm going to get you."
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got his stick, and he's just hitting the ground with it.
Yeah.
So what is this class? What are you teaching?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I felt bad for him when they found like his pictures that he took, because there's like the security camera footage of him running to get him developed, and that's kind of how he gets caught. And then the guy's like, "Oh, we've got an avant-garde artist here. Wow, these are worth a lot." It's
Yeah.
like he's an 8-year-old taking pictures.
I know, that's
Like,
crazy.
cut him some slack.
That he's a teacher and he hates the kid that much. Like,
That he's like pulling satisfaction out of like yeah, dude, you really owned that 8-year-old.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and is it just because, like, I wonder if he like always had it out for him, or was it like the condom thing the start of it and he's like, "Oh, this kid made a fool of me. So now I have it out for him." Are you good to move to scores? Or
Sure, yeah.
more
No, I'm good. I was almost afraid this was going to be another Sunset Boulevard situation where I was going to like not have a ton to say, but we had a pretty good conversation out of it, I think.
Yeah.
It's I kind of describe, I mean, Chloe hasn't seen it, but I kind of described it as like Chinese Magnolia, which like Magnolia has a bigger cast and they're not directly related to each other, but it's like a long movie where you see different, you know, aspects of these people's lives and how they kind of intersect with each other. That's kind of what it reminded me of a little bit, was like you spend some time with this guy and then you move on. And then you spend some time with the daughter, and then you spend some time with the son, and then you spend some time with Adi, and he watches porn with someone, and that's kind of weird. You don't spend a ton of time with him, maybe for better, for worse, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm good to move on to scores.
Okay.
Did I go first last week?
I
Shit. All right. Okay. I settled on either a strong 6 or a low 7. I'm gonna go with low 7.
Okay.
I think because of the conversation, and I think there is some rewatchability. Maybe I just need to be in like a more of a distraction-free environment to really take it in. I think I was also a little bit confused, like at the beginning, because I was like, okay, these are they're siblings. Who's related to who? I wasn't entirely sure, like the relations with all the characters, and like, and you know, I'm trying to not sound like I can't tell the difference between Chinese people. Because I thought the daughter and her friend kind of had similar looks. So I was like, who is this person? So I was a little confused early.
Maybe that
on
was
about,
intentional.
like,
maybe with
I mean, they're both like
the
the
guy
same
going
age.
back and forth between them too.
Yeah.
So
So at the beginning, I wasn't entirely sure like who like all of the relationships were. But then once it kind of locked in and I kind of got where the story was going, I enjoyed it quite a bit more. Yeah, really liked the NJ stuff, really liked the Yang Yang stuff. The kid acting was great, I thought, with him. Very, very strange, the scene with him in the bathtub. And it's like, damn it, he's still got the condom balloon for some reason.
Yeah.
And it's like filling it with water. Just doing little kid stuff, like that little kid logic. Like,
I just didn't understand why he couldn't fill the water or the balloon with water. Yeah. I've been there when I was his age.
He sees the girl that's picking on him, but then is like, oh, she's swimming. Oh, so then he's like practicing with his face in the sink, seeing how long he can hold his breath. It's kind of cute. Like, yeah, she's into this. I'm gonna get into this too. So I thought his stuff was really good. Yeah, I could probably bump this up on a few watches, but just based on, you know, my experience this time, really wanted to resonate with it more. But the stuff I did resonate with, I resonated with quite a bit. So I'm at a 7.
Okay. I went with a strong 6 for me.
I rated it higher than you.
Yeah, I think our numbers are a little different. That's okay.
I said low 7. You did strong 6, so they're kind of touching.
Yeah. Yeah, I almost went with a 7, but I was like, no, I think that's me being influenced by like the general, you know, consensus of movie critics. So I'm like, no, gotta go with my own rating. Yeah, and there is part of me that like wants to, you know, give this another go one day. Maybe I will. You know, it's the fact that it is so long is daunting to give it another shot, but I did like what I got out of it. Part of me, like I said, would put this on as just like, you know, a little comfort movie in a way, because it is just nice to look at. It's very quiet, you know. You could like, yeah, chill movies to do homework to. I put Yee up on that list. Yeah, interesting characters. Like I said, it's kind of a unique movie for me in the sense that I wasn't totally engrossed by it and yet never really bored by it. Always something nice to look at or think about, or something like that. So yeah, it's a 6, but it's a I'd still recommend it if it sounds like something that you've been thinking about checking out, or like me, it's just kind of been on your list for a while. I'd still say check it out.
Yeah. Well, how far are you with Bake Off?
3 episodes.
So who just got sent home?
We watched them all on the same day. I kind of forgot the names of people. Keith, maybe? One of the older guys.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe he might have been the second one that got kicked off. I'm not sure.
The Wikipedia has a wildly detailed who got out, who moved on, who was Star Baker.
Yep. I've looked at those breakdowns before.
Yeah, so you just watched the 3rd episode?
Was Keith second?
Yeah, so it was Amos, Keith, and then Abby.
Yes, that sounds right. I'm trying to remember who Abby is, but that sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I remember Abby.
Okay.
Yes. So I believe that was the last one. Yeah.
Okay. I'm liking it so far.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any contestant that I dislike, and the closest I feel to dislike for a contestant on this show is really just they're the most plain and kind of boring to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like Christy, she's one of them that's just she's just some white lady. I
think I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
Because the way that Bake Off seems to work is that there will be a handful of people that are top tier that you're okay, these guys are gonna go to the finale, and then there's people that are clearly skating by every episode, and then there's a lot of people that are just kind of in the middle that do okay but are unremarkable, and I think there's quite a few that are nice enough,
mm-hmm.
but there's a decent amount of people that just kind of Christy, Maddie, who's the other guy? Josh, a little bit. Just the
that
kind of generic.
Right. The name Josh, I'm pretty sure is, I remember being a generic guy. Yeah.
Yeah, where you're just when they do well, you're oh yeah, this guy's kind of an underdog. But then as soon as you have that moment, you just completely forget that they exist again.
Mm-hmm. I think from what I've seen, I don't know if it's just because I like seeing, I don't know what I'm saying, but Dan seems he came in strong. He was he's been doing
Dan.
Pretty good, and he seems well, I did like Keith. I'm a little bummed that he got booted so early. Saku I like.
Saku's very funny.
I think that's also partly because same thing with Shabira from the last season.
Mm-hmm.
I am just very interested in their the stuff that they kind of bring to it from their. I really like Indian food, so their things that they'll add in from their own culture is always everything they make sounds delicious.
She's from Sri Lanka, so she kind of brings
Sri Lanka.
in,
that's right.
She brings in those kind of spices and those sensibilities. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I like Tasha too. The one with the cochlear implant.
Yes. I didn't realize this, and I guess it makes sense once you say it out loud, but the people on Reddit about this show are complete psychopaths.
Really?
They are this guy definitely shouldn't. Dan should have been out 2 episodes ago, really, really going in on critiquing their dishes, or like if they don't like a person.
So, like,
it's that sort of like Reddit fandom where like if they really don't like a person, like they will be ruthless.
Okay.
But it's like there's like an article that I just saw that's like, our Great British Baking Show judges Paul and Prue playing favorites with Tasha and Dan. Because like I think those two are like, I mean, if I had to like guess who was gonna be in like the top 3, I would say Tasha, Dan, and then
Saku or something.
Saku or Josh or whoever.
I just gotta look at pictures of all of them.
You gotta. It's kind of like the blind technical where it's like you don't know who is who.
Yeah. You can keep going though.
But yeah, it was like I was just like trying to look up something on Reddit, and like I saw some of the posts, and it was just like, it's like, God damn, you guys are ruthless. Hold on, let me see if I can find the subreddit. Or I think some people aren't a fan of how blue the show has become. There's a lot of talking nuts.
Huh?
Like blue, like blue comedy, like off color.
Oh,
like
really?
there's a few. I don't know. I think that was like a thing that people were mad about with like the 2 girls, before Noel and Mary Berry or whoever, or like
it was I
forget
went
her
through
name.
That
But I think there's a lot more innuendo with the original 2 ladies, and
okay.
the new one has quite a bit of innuendo, and I think people are also like, of course, as soon as you have like a woman of color on the show, like Allison is taking over for Matt. There's like, Allison is just not funny. Like those types of Reddit posts where it's like, you know, like 200 comments and the thread got locked.
Wow. Well, okay.
It's wild.
I mean, yeah, so far she's just like, yeah, whatever. She's fine, but I'm not going to like, I don't need to make a Reddit post about it. It's just
I need people to know.
She's whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, so far it's been an enjoyable season. I still have not felt as emotionally invested in the show as I did with the season with Cristal, Chigs, and the guy who won. The Italian
something
guy.
Very Italian, Giuseppe or something.
Giuseppe.
Was that it?
It was Giuseppe.
Okay.
I have not felt as strongly about this show as I have since that season. Like last season was still fun. It's all still fun. But yeah, I just don't have the same emotional investment as I did with that first. And maybe that was because that was the first season I ever watched. So I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Yeah, I do I did really like the last one because I mean, I think Shabira was like my pick from like week 1. And she ended up winning. And then Sandro was cool too, and he made it to the finale.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
like,
I would agree.
He was
at
hot.
least. Yeah. Yeah, at least, you know, from what I've seen, there hasn't been like a kind of runaway like, oh, that's my favorite or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, I am looking at pictures and I'm like, yeah, that isn't like, I look at pictures of like Josh and Maddie and I immediately forget what they look like as soon as I scroll away from them.
I liked Nikki. Nikki's funny. Nikki has some really, I don't know if she's like, I don't know if she's like Scottish. She has a little bit of Scottish to her accent.
She's Scottish.
But
she sounds just like what's his name? She sounds just like Begbie from Trainspotting. I can't think of the guy's name.
But she just has these little turns of phrase that are a lot of fun. There's like one episode where I think she didn't do well on something, and she's just like, Yeah, I was a real bag of pants about that one. It's like, I don't know what that means, but I know exactly what you're talking about. I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun season so far.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can check in when it's
wrapped up.
When it,
or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. And then we got man, there's some meme that we could use to intro this, but I can't think of it.
We gotta insert just like Golden Freddy's and Balloon Boy, and like I know all of these characters' names now.
Oh. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's just yeah, we gotta get like, you know, our Markiplier like screaming reactions, or, you know,
it's Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yes,
the movie. Which
did you see it in theaters?
I did. Yeah, I saw it at
How was that? Were there a lot of people there?
No, see, I went I purposely went the earlier showing because I didn't want there to be a lot of people. It was mostly empty, and I went with my two nephews too.
Oh, okay. Did they know? Are they like Fred heads?
I feel like my one nephew, the younger one, like I asked them both when we were going down. I was like, have you guys like played this? Do you guys know the games? Because I was like, I played like the first one, maybe two, like a little bit, but didn't know the story. Because from what I remember, it's just a little point and click horror game. There isn't a story.
A pretty intricate story, I've learned.
I know that like since then that there are like, I saw. Like on YouTube, like it was like a brief history of, or like a brief like dive into the complete lore of Five Nights at Freddy's, and it was like 8 hours long. Yeah. And they both said that like they played the first few too, but they weren't like, they knew, you know, some of the lore or whatever. But I feel like my younger nephew was selling himself short, or he just did his homework when the movie came out or something, because there was stuff like there's the part where the babysitter and her brother or boyfriend or whatever go and they like try to like trash the place to make the main character look bad.
I think I know about the reference. When
she gets like pulled into one of them and then like bit in half, and I didn't realize it was a meme. I genuinely just thought it was my nephew like actually having this reaction. So I was a little disappointed when I realized it was a meme. But yeah, he did she gets bit in half and he like yelled in the theater, "Was that the bite of 87?" And like me and my other nephew were like you can't do that. Like, there was only a few other people in there, but a pair was like 2 rows in front of us, and we were like, it was quiet. And he would also just be like, throughout the movie, he'd like be leaning over to me or his brother and being like, oh, that's what these people are. Like, that's, you know, when it is kind of obvious when Josh Hutcherson has that dream and he sees the 5 kids. And it's like, okay, those are the, you know, Freddy and Bonnie, whatever.
The one kid has a hat with like bunny ears on it. So you're like, oh, I wonder which one he is.
Yeah, but he knew he's like, that one's that one, because it was like Freddy died running, Bonnie died screaming. So it's like something like there's a line that goes with all of them. Foxy
like
died
like
the
attributes.
Yeah,
interesting. Okay.
And he was saying like, that's why that's who this is and whatever. And so I would constantly be peppered with little like lore tidbits throughout.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that there's like a 3-hour long like lore cut that has like way more like fan servicey stuff that I think is like connected to like the deep lore of these games. Like there's a longer cut out there.
Oh, of this movie, not of just.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I think I read that like Matthew Lillard has agreed to appear in like 2 more movies, so I think this is not going to be the last of these movies.
Oh, fuck no.
Which overall, I mean, we visited my parents yesterday, and on the car ride back, I was like, yeah, let's make popcorn and let's watch the Five Nights movies. Like we watched it at home through other methods. And she was like reading the lore to me. Like she like found an article and was like kind of going over it in the car ride home. So I kind of knew what to look for and what was going on. But it would have been nice to see it in theaters, but also I'm kind of glad that we saw it at home and there weren't any like children screaming out memes to it.
Yeah. It's going to be like the new like Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
Shit, yeah.
But I mean, as a standalone like horror movie, I don't think it was particularly scary.
No, not really.
But I think even you said it in your Letterboxd review, but like the sets were really cool. Like, and it's like having watched like a little bit of the game, they even got like the camera angles like right for the security camera feed. I was like, oh shit, it's like accurate.
That's okay. I didn't know that specifically, but I did think I like the way that they were able to kind of to insert like how the game is. Like it's when the people who are like, you know, ransacking the place go there. The one guy like he sees them like killing one of his partners or whatever, so he runs back to the security room, and that's very like the games. Like he's like looking in the monitors, back to the door, like. Because that's like all the game is just that. And I was like, that's fun that they were able to kind of put that in there.
Implement some of the gameplay elements.
Yeah.
I was not expecting it to almost be like a Freddy apologist type movie.
Me either. That was completely like, took me off guard.
I was not expecting Josh Hutcherson to be like building a giant fort with them and like talking with them.
Yeah.
And it was like kind of cute because like the sister was like, oh yeah, these are my friends. Like this is Bonnie, this is Chica, this is, and like they all like Freddy almost has that paternalistic like looking at him like, you know, you're not gonna hurt her, are you? And she has to like, no, it's okay. And yeah, the animatronic the puppet design was like very, very well done.
Yeah, they looked very, very nice. I think I had like an okay time with it because I don't know, I'm trying to remove myself from, I don't know if this is like, I've like not really went into the community or the lore for the series, but also it's very popular, and I'm like, I could see this being just like a really annoying toxic community or whatever, but I'm trying to look at this as just like, okay, kids' point of view, they did a PG-13. This is clearly not. I think I've just noticed this movie is not getting the best reviews, and it's not the best movie. It shouldn't get the best reviews, but I do think that like maybe a lot of people have been like a little harsh on it because, I don't know. I don't like putting words into people's mouth. I'll just say how I watched it was like not a movie for me as an adult who also just went through a month of watching horror movies. But like as a gateway movie for kids getting into horror.
Yeah.
I think it works. It's fun.
It's fun.
Got scares if you're a little kid, because I will say the younger nephew who was spouting off all the trivia, every time there was like a scary scene coming up, I would like glance over it and he would be like this, like hands fully in front of his face. Like,
that's awesome. That rules.
Yeah. But he liked it.
Yeah.
I asked him afterwards, I was like, so what'd you guys think? Was that good, or like, coming of somebody who really doesn't know much about it, and he said it was good, 7.5. It was fun, but it had plot holes. I was like, okay, all right.
Wow, future duds guest over there.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, maybe that's what he was
so
trying
funny.
For.
The Vanessa character seemed very inconsistent, like hilariously so sometimes, where she went from like, it's like, you know what, I don't think you're crazy. Like, I know I've seen crazy and you are not crazy. Like, I really sympathize with you. And then she's like, if you ever bring Abby here again, I will shoot you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, whoa. Like, her character was like very bipolar in that way.
Yeah, I was still confused by the end, like, what all she knew exactly. Like, she knew they were in there, but is she, like, I'm not totally sure, because is she aware that her dad was the one that killed them and stuff? Because if she was, then that's weird.
I think
she's an actual cop, because she's driving around a cop car and using the lights, and well, that'd be pretty bold if you're just faking it.
Well, I mean, at that end scene when Matthew Lillard is kind of like, she's trying to stand up to him, and he's like, we had an agreement, like, he gets too close, like, you take care of him. So it kind of sounds like maybe they have some sort of awareness, like she has some sort of awareness of like what he's done, because like obviously she hears the story about like, yeah, I had a younger brother and he mysteriously disappeared, and that doesn't ring any bells with her, that it's like, hey, that's kind of what my dad was up to.
Yeah. Apparently that was like the one, from what I understand, that's like the big change they made, was that the Matthew Lillard character is actually, because the Vanessa character isn't in the games until like later.
Okay.
And the Matthew Lillard character is actually the dad of the main character, of Josh Hutcherson. But they decided to change it. I feel like weird. At least how the movie sets it up, it would be weirder if he was his dad, but I don't know. I don't know if the games, there's probably other things that maybe not. I don't know. I really just kind of did like a basic cursory sort of look through afterwards, because I knew that there were people up in arms about it changing the lore, which I generally don't give a shit about, even if it's something that I am familiar with the source material. I used to be, I would say, like, I was definitely that kid in high school who was like, I read comic books, and I'm gonna prove it by saying that I know that the movie is different. I think the kind of turning point for me was, I want to say, at least one that sticks out to me is Iron Man 3, because that got dogpiled for changing the Mandarin character, which I don't know if you saw that movie, but that's Ben Kingsley.
Okay.
He's like, the first like half of the movie, he's like this, you see him on these videos, it's kind of like ISIS terrorism threat video type thing, and then like it's revealed that he's actually just a paid actor, and he's just like a drunk idiot who's like a cover for the actual bad guy, but he was playing the Mandarin. And in the comics, he actually is this like genius, evil mastermind, evil guy, and he's like Iron Man's arch villain. And people were pissed off that they did that to him. But I watched that movie and I liked it for what it was. I didn't care that it changed it, because I thought it was fun and it worked for the movie. And who gives a shit? So ever since then, I've kind of just been like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
If it makes an entertaining, fun movie, who cares? Right. I found that a lot with like watching the Texas Chainsaw movies too, because like certain movies in that series get dogpiled on for like, the Next Generation turning how like Leatherface is treated in that. It's
right.
Like, he's not even a threat. It's like, who cares? It's funny.
Right. Yeah.
It works.
God, I'm gonna have to watch this 8-hour 5 Nights at Freddy's lore video.
I don't know if I'm gonna watch that one.
It did pique my interest. It did pique my interest to like, because I kind of like that with video games that have these deeper storylines that you kind of get rewarded for picking out. Like I've seen a few like let's plays of Five Nights. I don't think I've watched like a full one, but I basically know the gist of like the first one, and I've seen bits and pieces of the other ones. But you know, there's like the purple guy, right? That's Matthew Lillard's character. So like in one of the games, there's like this mini game that's like an 8-bit style like Atari game where you're like beep boop boop, boop, you like moving around on the screen, and then there's like this like purple humanoid figure that chases you around, and I think if he catches you, like it kills you. And I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be like a representation of the William Afton character. So it's but it's just so funny in the lore. He's just known as Purple Guy because it's probably what all the little kids called him. Because like, yeah, of course they're gonna call him Purple Guy because that's what he looks like.
That's funny.
Kind of looks like Custer's Revenge, that like kind of pornographic NES game. That's kind of what that's kind of what the little like 8-bit dude looks like.
That's funny.
But I've definitely gone on a little bit of like a Five Nights lore. Like I've definitely like seen it recommended on YouTube and watched it a little bit. So it's kind of cool that that's like a thing that you know, kind of younger kids can like see represented on the big screen, and like you said, like a good entry level into like getting more into like horror movies. Like if it's already got your nephew being like, oh, it's a 7.5, it's pretty good, had some plot holes. It's like, oh, okay, all right, it's got him thinking critically. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. And it was fun seeing another horror movie, a slasher movie, I guess, in a way, where there's a masked killer, and it's revealed to be Matthew Lillard at the end, who is like I like that the beginning. It's like he's not even trying. He's not even attempting to not seem creepy and suspicious. Yeah. Like when he's just in the, you know, the office giving him like a job, he's like, yeah,
high turnover rate
high turnover
doesn't pay
rate.
well.
Yeah. The good news, the hours are worse. And then
he says he starts to say his last name, and then he's like, I have just the job for you, because he like realizes like, oh yeah, I killed your brother.
Oh right, that's okay. Yeah. I didn't. That's funny. I didn't really like think of that. That just came back to me, that I remember him like stopping there and then being like, oh, why did he do that? But then just like didn't even think about that when it came to the end. That's funny.
So yeah, not a particularly like great movie, but it was a fun time. I was entertained. It was silly. Yeah. I don't know. Not every movie has to be, you know, the greatest horror movie of all time. I mean, it is a bummer that it was like a PG-13 horror movie.
It would be interesting to see,
because like
they don't want
every time
there's
every time Freddy's gonna say it. But it is a bummer that it's just like every time there's about to be like a killing scene, it's like cut away.
Yeah.
Even had some like Saw Trap vibes with like the blade mask that was slowly lowering in on him. I was like, oh shit, yeah. Some say that was actually like a direct reference to Saw. Oh,
but
really?
That's just a theory. I was lying. I made that up.
But Matt Pat was in the movie.
Yeah.
As soon as he said that's just a theory, I was like, oh, holy shit! That's the cameo.
That's like simultaneously the worst thing I've seen this year, and also like the best.
Yeah,
it's him doing that.
I think Markiplier was also like slated to be in it at some point in time, because I think
he
both
had to have been. I was so surprised that he was not in it, and like Matt Patton. There was another YouTuber that I don't know.
Oh, was there?
Yeah,
because
he was like the taxi driver, I think.
Oh, okay. Because I feel like both Markiplier and Matt Pat probably owe a decent amount to Five Nights at Freddy's as like the things that like made them blow up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I would say so.
Yeah. There was like a Meat Canyon video that's like Five Nights at Markiplier's.
Did it just come out, or was that an older one?
I saw like a TikTok of Markiplier watching it, and like he's like, I want to redub all the voices.
Oh, that's cool.
Five Nights at Markiplier's. Oh, that was 2 years ago. That was a while ago.
Okay, I'll just, if I see the I've watched no, I haven't seen that one. I have watched a lot of his shorts, but I'll put that in the watch
Five
list.
Nights at Markiplier.
That's good.
Yeah, because I think Markiplier has a pretty good sense of humor about himself. So I think he watched it and he was like, "This is hilarious."
Yeah. Now it's movie time.
Yeah.
Next week, and next week is I'm double checking I got this right. Yes. Wait, it's the last full week. Thanksgiving 2023. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just double checking I got the right week. Cause the following Thursday is still in November. So like, is it the last Thursday in November, or I think it's like the last one with like a full week.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's the fourth Thursday. I don't know. Something. Anyways, next week is gonna be our Thanksgiving week. So we decided to do a Thanksgiving movie. Although some people would argue that it's a Halloween movie. Some people would argue that it's a Christmas movie. I argue it's a Thanksgiving movie. And that movie is The Nightmare Before Christmas from 1993, directed by Henry Selick. It's also the 30th anniversary, so that's nice.
Oh, shit. Perfect.
It is available on Disney Plus. Should have thought of that.
Yeah.
And then for rent on Amazon Prime, YouTube, Google Play, Apple TV. It's out there. You know it. You love it. It's a antithesis of what we just watched because it is a very short movie.
Oh,
it's like,
really?
It's like under 80 minutes, I think.
Holy shit.
Yeah. It's also in theaters, right? In some theaters. I'm sure it's probably thinned out post Halloween, but it is doing it does have a, for the 30th anniversary, a little run. So if you get the chance, kids, go see it in theaters. So yeah, do that. Watch it before next week's episode if you don't want to be spoiled for The Nightmare Before Christmas. These episodes come out every Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST on Twitch and YouTube in video form, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more in audio form. We also have social pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And with all that said, Kore wa ni ga sakana. That's this is my fish, and I wrote that down because that was a line that I understood. And I was pretty proud of myself.
Nice.
TJ is my name, and
yes,
with me as always.
Boo. As always. I'm gonna go drink a depth charge after this.
Nice.
I
kind of want to try it.
Yeah, that'll be our next milestone episode. We'll drink depth charges.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
And I am Nick, and that's it.
That's it.
Yep. Bye.